As I was typing these out, I even felt myself calming down from my general stress, and by typing out, I mean on my script that I'm still using. It's really frustrating. And fun fact, uploading takes forever. Yesterday it took me an hour. Moving on. Welcome to the second episode of my Things I Learned in Therapy series. Please watch my last video on Friday to learn about panic disorders and anxiety attacks so you can better understand what I am discussing here, which is coping methods for panic disorder or anxiety attacks. Again, a lot of these can be used for any type of anxiety, but I'm going to focus on the ones that have helped me best for panic attacks. Deep breathing, as I mentioned as one coping method for generalized anxiety disorder, is another extremely helpful tool for any type of anxiety. So, tool number 1, visualizations, or I guess it's also known as guided imagery. It's best to use if you're alone and not in a public space, like somewhere that you can close your eyes and attempt to relax anyway. If you can escape people, I would suggest going to a bathroom or stepping outside for a moment. But if you can't, I'll move on to more tools later that may be able to help you wherever you are. Imagine a place or situation in which you felt calm. I'll share my 4 best secret situations. They're not really secrets, but they're kind of secret to me, I guess, because they're the ones that I tend to go for if I'm feeling anxious. So anyway, for me personally, I use my beautiful cabin, laying on the chair that tilts back and basking in the sun and looking into the beautiful nature, which I'll talk about in my next tool more specifically. Looking up at the stars, happily jumping on the trampoline after watching my favorite horror movie for the first time, which, if you're interested, is Deliver Us from Evil. It ends good, and for me, any horror movies that end good are good movies. I was watching the sunset and jumping around with a new belief in faith. Anyway, in my bedroom one night, I was staring out the window with it open, with a nice breeze coming in, stars above, perfect temperature, cuddled under warm blankets just after I watched a science-y kind of movie. It was interesting anyway, late at night. But for you guys, you can try to come up with a list and then stock them in your mind for whenever you're desperately in need of one. Because in the midst of a panic attack, you really don't feel like you have the ability to concentrate on finding one. You just need it there so you can use it. If you can't think of one, though, for when you need it, or whenever, really, just imagine yourself in a pretty photo or scene, like sitting by the fireplace on Christmas Day, or strolling through the woods with the sun streaking through the trees. It may be a bit harder to do this if you haven't actually been there and felt those feelings before, but it can definitely be done with practice. You can also use a photo or a video. I would recommend looking up something like meditation, scenery, and music on YouTube. How you do it is you deep breathe, in through your nose, hold, and then out through your mouth. Slowly, as you imagine it in your mind. Think of it as though you were actually there. Get into the same position you would be, so say, like with my cabin one, I was laying down on the chair, so if you can, laying down would help. And eliminate any sounds around you if you can. This, I have found, helps to force my brain into believing that you're really there. So focus on your 5 senses and everything you felt in that situation until it actually feels real. If your mind drifts away, focus back to it with all your might. I would recommend scheduling a few minutes daily to practice because it makes it easier to use when you need it, and to become calm when you're in the peak of an attack. My second tool is very similar to this one, but it's more concise and easier for beginners. It is focusing more on your 5 senses that are around you to bring you back to the current moment. You can also use places or situations that I've suggested before rather than what's currently around you. Either or would technically work. It's important to focus on all the details to make it more realistic, and like I said, I'll use my cabin example for this. 5 things you see. The beautiful blue mid-afternoon sky, the tall pine trees, the bright sun shining upon the grasses, a few wispy clouds, and even the barbecue beside me. 4 things you can feel. The light summer breeze on my skin, the chair supporting my body, warm sunshine beating down on me, my dog on my lap, and how soft her fur feels as I pet her lovingly. Maybe that's a bit poetic, but I need you to get the feeling. 3 things you can hear. The wind blowing through the trees, birds chirping their own song, voices of people walking down the road. Two things you can smell: the fresh mountain air, and through the screen door I smell dinner being cooked. One thing you can taste: garlic, the smell so strong that you can literally taste it. I have several more ideas, but I'm sure this video is already far too long. I'll give you another few easier, shorter ones to end on. Know that panic attacks do not last forever. It will end, and the end will come faster if you use these methods, or any other common ones. It may feel like you're having a heart attack or dying, but the feeling will pass. You may feel better alone, or you might want to be with someone. I would recommend being with a person who knows what helps you and how to best calm you down. And hopefully in the future I'll be able to make a video about how to help someone in a panic attack. Some people also prefer to be hugged because it feels comfortable and they feel safe, but some people do not because it feels like that overwhelming sensation of tightening that they're already receiving from their anxiety. You just gotta know for you. And for me personally, I don't like being hugged unless it's by my mom, who has always been my #1 source of comfort, which again I'll talk more about in my separation anxiety video coming up probably in a few weeks. These may not work for everyone, but visualizations come more naturally for me for some reason, so give them a try and find out what works for you. My next 2 videos will likely be focusing on phobias, and my next upload date will be Friday, so thank you for watching, and I hope these can help. Bye!